Okay, I see it now.
Okay. All right. So good day. I'm just really excited today to have Petagay with us. And she's just super duper phenomenal individual. She's an educator. She's an artist. She's an author. I mean, she's a businesswoman. She's a motivational speaker. She holds so many titles because that's how phenomenal she is. And I want to welcome my friend Petagay. How you doing, Petagay?
Hi, Tiffany. I'm well, thank you.
Good, good, good. So when I first met Petagay, I learned that she was going through something. And a lot of times we go through different things in life. So with her having gone through this major life experience, some things changed. And without going into her specific issue, uh, she had a unique way of dealing with that. Petagay, can you share with us uh, what did you do as part of your healing after this particular major life experience?
Wow. So after life experiences or during difficult times, something that's common for me is to engage in art making. And I can say this now. I didn't always know that that's what I did, but it was what I did. So as a young child, I wrote in a journal, I made up dances. After a major challenge, I planted a garden and I called it my comeback garden. And I just connected to nature and I grew onions and basil and different things. So engaging in the process of art making or connecting to life is something that has become a part of my healing process from challenges.
Okay, so one of the things that you told me in regards to this period of time when we worked together, that you, and I call it the t-shirt story. And you don't know how many times I've told people, women in particular, Black, white, and Hispanic, about the t-shirt, what I call the t-shirt story. Because when I carry your bags, which are absolutely lovely, I mean, just absolutely gorgeous, okay? But when I carry them, it's always a conversation piece, and people want to know where I got them, got them from. So, can you tell us what? Can you
Okay.
tell us about what I refer to as the t-shirt story?
Okay, I can. So some years ago, I was engaged to a gentleman. We were going to get married, and I wanted to organize travel for him to come to Trinidad. I was having a difficult time, and everybody around me just took in, and they were like, Petagay, he just shouldn't travel. This isn't a good idea. Everybody can see this is complicated. Why can't you see that this is complicated? And I was like, I'm gonna make some t-shirts. I love myself just the way I am. I'm gonna put it on a t-shirt. I'm gonna sell my t-shirt. I felt and I believed in my heart of hearts that it wasn't me, that the process was difficult, but I had traveled, right? I had been to Africa, I'd been to Asia, I had done things. So I just felt like this isn't me. I know how to do this. And it was just a moment where I decided that I couldn't be anybody else, and I was gonna stand firm in me, and I was gonna love me, and I wasn't gonna see that it was complicated. I was just gonna love myself just the way I am. That's the truth.
So the t-shirts, you said your father had a whole lot of them, right? And you took them at that time, and is that when you start making the purses? And
Okay, no. So these are two different t-shirt stories. So the t-shirt story that I'm talking about is the t-shirts that say, I love myself just the way I am. Now, the next t-shirt story is this. I got divorced, and I felt incredibly broken. And I needed to do something. And my father had purchased a whole lot of shirts that he never sold. And people were just using them to clean the house and do these different things. So I was going through a divorce. I was officially divorced, and I felt really broken. I had experienced a lot of trauma prior to my divorce, and I just wasn't ready for another one. And in feeling broken, I wanted to engage in a process that would make me feel whole. And I love art. And my dad had a bunch of shirts that he had purchased for a business endeavor, and he never sold them. And so the shirts were just there. They had a design on them. And I decided that I was going to take these t-shirts, I was going to cut around the design, I was going to tie dye them, cut them up, and make these bags. This was my plan. And I did it because I wanted to, just me, myself, I wanted to feel value, and I wanted to feel like although I had been in a certain kind of way discarded and counted out of my marriage, that I was still whole and I could still carry something, and that I could connect. And so I just decided that I was going to make t-shirts. I was going to make bags out of t-shirts.
Okay. And those bags, you went on to do what with them? You sold them, right?
Well, yeah, I've sold quite a few bags. I've sold bags to coworkers. I've sold them off of Etsy. I have sold them at festivals where I vend. So I've sold quite a few bags, and I've moved into making different kinds and styles of bags with different types of materials. So yeah, it's just become a really profitable exercise.
So I really just love that story, because I like that mending of, it just touches me all the time. So, and it touches everybody that I tell about it as well.
I think sometimes things happen to us, and a lot of times we hear the saying, oh, it's 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond. And in the moment, I wasn't thinking about the 90% or, oh, I'm going to respond this way. I needed to do something. I needed to connect to something. And that's just, art is something that I came out in love with. And it was a way for me to connect to art and to do something. And I didn't realize that people would like them or that they would connect with that story. But I am grateful that they have, because in people connecting with the story, it's helped me recognize that my healing can be a healing to someone else. It can be a blessing to someone else.
Oh, that is so beautiful. So your art expanded into your t-shirt making, your dance, correct?
Yeah. Choreography. Yeah.
Instruments for music, right? Your bags, and I want to mention this, your book, right? This is the first thing that you've written, but is this the first thing that you've written with someone?
Yeah, it's the first thing that I've written with someone. It's the first thing that I've published and sold in the way that this is published and being sold.
Okay, now tell us the name of the book.
The name of the book is 7 Ways to Get Through the Day.
Okay, am I allowed to show your book?
Yes.
Okay, right? Okay. All right, so 7 ways to make it through your day. And it looks like okay. So it talks about our intentions, and it starts off with prayer. And I was talking to you earlier about the fact that I love this book because it's concise, because it's easy to carry. It's attractive. I didn't tell you all these reasons why I like it, but it's profound, and I think that it means a lot to let people know what type of things people have gone through to help other people, like you said, if you want to be a blessing to others. But what made you come together with this particular person to do this book?
Wow. This particular person, his name is Jamel Ben, and how I know him, when I was in undergrad, he taught me how to play chess. So he was my friend, and he was my chess coach. So fast forward a number of years, I am going through a difficult time, and Jamel calls to say, hey, how are you? You're loved, haven't heard from you in a while, kind of thing, just reconnect. And he just ended up being someone who was willing to endure and join me on my journey as I was grieving. So we had a number of conversations. By this point in time, we hadn't spoken in a number of years. His daughter's mother had passed away. This was his partner. And so we just, I hate to say that we kind of connected over grief. I don't know that that's exactly what happened, but what began was a series of conversations. And so one day he said to me, I was thinking about something, I was looking through my journal, I found something, I want to share it with you. And that sharing was some of what are the 7 ways in the book. And he was willing to listen, but he was also willing to help me shift and suggest little tiny things that I could do to make bigger shifts. And so when he said, why don't we work on this? Do you think you want to join me in this? Can you help me with this? However it was he phrased it, I said, sure. And so we just over a conversation started writing, sending emails back and forth, reading, and then here you have it, 7 ways to get through the day.
Excellent. What would you like people to get from this book?
I'd like people to get from this book that it's okay to honor their feelings. And I'd like for people to get from this book that you can survive major, profound, core shifting life challenges and really simple micro wins, if practiced over a period of time, can facilitate a big shift or change in your life.
You do a lot of things, and you're also a head of household. Is that okay for me to mention? Okay. So with that being said, I say head of household because I have female friends that always correct me because they don't want me to say single parent. I guess it's not as empowering, but you understand, right?
Yeah.
So you have a child. What type of legacy do you want to leave for him?
When I think about my son, I want to leave a legacy of love and laughter. Every time I go back to what I went through during my pregnancy and the pregnancies I lost prior to him, I really want to teach him how to love himself and that he has value and that he matters. I want him to be able to laugh, and I want him to experience life in abundance, to not feel limited by circumstances or situations in his life. I just, when I think of my little guy, I just think of laughs.
What is the biggest inspiration that you've had in your life, whether it be a person or another situation? What has gotten you to go forward and propel?
I want to say the healing power of art. Mm-hmm. There have been a number of people who've really had a profound impact on my life. My dad, I would say, is a huge influence in my life. I remember when things were really, really tight, I went to New York University for my undergraduate studies. And I was fortunate in that I spent a summer in London on my way to NYU. And I remember when things got really tight and my dad would say things like, you need to come home and make some money to help pay for your education, or, just express it like, this is really expensive and we're not sure if you're going to be able to finish or what have you. I remember my dad always having this sense and this commitment that he didn't want money to keep me from my dreams. And I feel like it's like a lesson, like it's a little gift that he gave me. I grew up feeling like the weird one out, the sensitive one, the odd one. I cried easily. I was just different. I was attracted to different things. And the idea that he didn't want money to separate me from my dreams was something that just really touched me, and it propelled me to withstand circumstances and challenges that I think other people might have easily given up. But I knew that my dad wanted me to be able to achieve my dreams. Like I knew that he's a dreamer, and that is a gift that I got from him. And I think hearing him say that out loud, like, I don't know what we're going to do, but I just don't want this, meant something. Mm-hmm. It means something. I think there's one other thing that I would like to say in the wake of this. In Jamel coming up with this idea of 7 ways to get through the day, he has been really committed to this idea that he didn't want the book to be overwhelming. He wanted it to be the kind of thing that people who were not readers could read, because it didn't have that many pages. It was just something that it got to the point. It told you what you needed to know. We shared our stories so that people could connect with why we felt credible to make these suggestions. But Jamel always would talk about love and service and being kind in a way that was new for me. And what he would say to me, if you're being kind because you want it to come back to you, right? So we say what goes around comes around, then you're being kind with an agenda, and that's not really being kind. And in this process, what he is teaching me is that being kind is its own reward. And that was new for me. And I'm grateful for that. And so that's, if I could leave with one thing from this, I would say that being kind is its own reward.
Let me ask you this one last question.
Mm-hmm.
This process of coming together with someone who sounds like they had a similar experience, like they were going through the same thing that you were going through, not maybe the same situation, but maybe the grief, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
When you put it in writing and you put it out there, how does that affect you at that point? Is that a release in itself, or how, explain that to me?
So for me, truth be told, I was very anxious when the book was coming out. I was very anxious because in my mind, I made up these crazy stories that people were going to criticize me and they were going to judge me because of what I had been through. At the same time, just prior to the book coming out, we had been in the process of writing the book. I had stumbled upon people that I was able to share a part of my story with. And it was touching. I was like, oh my God, I never thought that what I had gone through and all of this could be helpful to someone else. I never thought that this was going to be meaningful. And now that I hear these comments, this is right on time, we got to talk about grief, or this is real, or thank you for this. Mm-hmm. I feel grateful and honored that my story and what I went through can be of service to someone else, and that other women who experience miscarriages or losses don't have to feel like they're the only one, or like they can't talk about it, or like they don't have tools to help them navigate the darkness of those times.
Interesting. Oh, that's very interesting. So I want to ask you, is there anything that you want to say or that needs to be said to our viewing audience that we may not have touched upon?
What I want to say, or grief, we all will experience grief at some point in time. And I don't want this book to suggest to anyone that you just power through those feelings, or that you shouldn't feel sad, or what have you. That's not the intention of the book. But the intention of the book is to support people, for you to have a guide. And I think it's important that we will all experience grief in our own way. Who feels it knows it. It's a personal experience to you. And this is designed to help you as you're going through that time, however it is for you. Sometimes people on the outside think, oh, I should have gotten over this. You should have gotten over this by now. Or, oh, that's still bothering you. And people on the outside, grief is uncomfortable because they can't fix it. They can't call and make a connection. They can't come by and bring you lunch and say, you know what, I'm gonna lend you $500 till you get over the hump. It's not a fixable thing. And I just want people to know that it's okay to grieve and to honor your grief. And grief is not the absence of gratitude. Because you are grieving, it does not mean that you are not grateful. And for me, that's been something that's important.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of people would not gather that in this lifetime, you know, and yes. can't tell the difference. But I really want to thank you so much for your time. I appreciate your wisdom. I appreciate your being able to disclose different things so that it can indeed be a blessing to others. So just thank you for being you, and keep being you and doing you the way that you have. I'm very impressed with what you say and what you do. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.